As the sun dipped behind the trees of a quiet forest, David, an experienced hiker, stumbled upon something he'd never seen before, a bear standing in the clearing with what looked like tears in its eyes. This wasn't the aggressive kind of bear he'd learned to avoid. It was sad, pleading. It didn't charge or growl, just stared at him quietly. David's instincts screamed at him to back away, but something in the bear's body language made him pause. It wasn't attacking, it was trying to communicate. Tentatively, David mimicked the bear's gestures. When he sniffed the air the way the bear did, it seemed to acknowledge him, then turned and began walking away. When David didn't follow, the bear growled, firm, not threatening. A clear message, come. Against all logic, David obeyed. The bear led him off the trail and deep into the forest. David was tense, his every step battling fear. But the bear never strayed far, always checking back as if to make sure he was still following. After a half hour, they reached a fast-flowing river swollen by recent rain, dangerous to cross. The bear paced and dipped its paw in the water. It wanted to cross, but couldn't. Then David spotted it, a fragile bridge of fallen trees and vines stretched across the river. Encouraged by the bear's urgency, he crossed carefully, heart pounding. The bear followed. On the other side, they shared a silent moment of relief. Then the bear pressed on, deeper into untouched wilderness. The farther they went, the stranger it felt. The forest seemed ancient, untouched by time. As night fell, unfamiliar sounds echoed around them. Low calls, rustling in the distance. But the bear remained calm, guiding him like a silent guardian. Hours later, as the first light of dawn crept through the trees, David spotted something caught in the underbrush. A torn circus poster. Faded with time, it showed a dancing bear. The image unsettled him. The wild, primal forest seemed an unlikely home for such a thing, but something about it felt connected to their journey. More clues emerged. Odd footprints in the soil, frayed ropes dangling from trees, rusted tools half buried in moss. The bear seemed to recognize it all, moving with certainty. Finally, they emerged into a clearing, and David froze. Before him stood the skeletal remains of an old circus. Torn tents fluttered in the breeze. Rusted rides stood still in time. The silence was haunting. They walked through the ruins. In some cages, animals paced. In others, they lay still, eyes dull and haunted. The bear paused often, sniffing certain spots, staring at cages. This place was part of its past. David realized the truth. It had once been a captive here, forced to perform for crowds. And now it had come back, not just for memory, but for rescue. Determined not to leave things as they were, David called for help. That night, he stayed with the animals, building a small shelter and keeping vigil beside the bear. They sat in silence, man and beast sharing a bond forged by trust and purpose. At dawn, the sound of approaching vehicles stirred the forest. A rescue team arrived. Wildlife experts and authorities uncovered what had long been hidden, evidence of an illegal circus operation abandoned after years of animal abuse. The bear had led David to expose it. The story made headlines. The rescued animals were taken to sanctuaries. The bear, once a victim, became a symbol of survival and hope. David's life changed. He became an advocate for animal rights, driven by what he had witnessed and the creature that guided him. He returned often to the forest, hoping to catch a glimpse of the bear who had changed everything. He rarely saw it, but somehow in the rustling leaves or the crack of branches, he felt its presence, a reminder that sometimes the wild reaches out to us, asking not for fear, but for understanding.